I'm on a whole nother level. They think that I seen this shit ain't the same. Not pledging my soul to the devil. You know what I mean, you know what I mean. I'ma give you my trust, I don't mind you. If you speak on my name, I'ma find you. We can be on a whole nother.
What up, though? This is Jay. So today, I'm gonna be reacting to this David situation. I've been hearing a lot about this shit. I ain't gonna lie to you. I feel like I'd be wrong to just say he did it, but everything going on, I'm gonna be real. I think he did it. Let's get into it.
We have a new development in the David Celeste Rivas Hernandez story, and it centers on a Build-A-Bear certificate, a roller coaster, and an apparent trip to Six Flags. Private investigator Steve Fisher, who we've had on the show before, who is actually investigating this case, says that this could be a key moment in understanding what may have happened to Celeste. This detail could completely
Don't do this, by the way. Don't do this. I got bad habits. Don't.
reframe the timeline and show that Celeste maybe wasn't just missing, but maybe was with somebody. We're going to dig into this and more right now. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
Bro, look at dude's tattoos for a minute, bro. Look at his face.
Right now. Welcome to Sidebar.
Look at this, bro. Tell me you take one look at dude and think he's not capable of some shit like this. Cause for real, I don't know. Bro look like he's on some creepy stuff, like some sacrificial type shit. Like he'll really do some shit like that.
Presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Also, I gotta say, if anybody's been following us here on Sidebar for the last, 2 months or so, we have been on top of this David story from the very beginning. We are trying to hit you with any kind of update here, so we know exactly what happened here to Celeste Rivas Hernandez. And I will just say, the reason that we can do this is not only because of the amazing support that we get from all of you out there, and thank you so much for that, but also it's the support that we get from an incredible sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. This is America's largest injury law firm. They win all the there were more than 8 shocking death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez out in Los Angeles. This all started, as you may know, when a Tesla in Hollywood was towed, and officers then discovered human remains in the trunk. The body was later identified as Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who had been reported missing months earlier from Lake Elsinore. Now, the Tesla was registered to 20-year-old singer David, real name David Anthony Burke, the Houston-born artist behind the hit Romantic Homicide. To be clear, no...
Y'all know them songs? I'm gonna be real. A lot of my friends done said, like, they know I've heard it or whatnot. They said I've heard, like, it was on Fortnite and stuff like that. But I'm gonna be real. I've never heard his songs. I've never, and not to disrespect this dude, like, I promise. I've never heard anything about this David dude until this situation went down, which is crazy. Like, that's got to tell you something. But if you know what I'm saying, if somebody knows something, they would have probably put me on to him by now. You know what I'm saying? I think everybody. Never mind, I'm rambling.
One has officially been named a suspect. There have been no arrests. David, again to be clear, has not officially been implicated in any wrongdoing or any crime. But obviously, there are questions. There are questions about...
I got a question about that. How the fuck is this nigga not indicted yet? Or, you know what I'm saying, not under some sort of supervision or arrest or some shit like that. Like, with Diddy, you know what I'm saying? All it took was a couple of fucking, accusations, a couple of shits online for them niggas to actually go and, you know what I'm saying, pick this nigga up. For Dirk, it was the same fucking thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, that nigga fucked up, like, majorly, like... he made his own bill with that one. All he had to do was not slide the bond. But, yeah, it ain't weird how this nigga's not in jail yet. Like, from what it's looking like, it's pointing to the fact that you did it. It's pointing to the fact that you did it. And if, bruh, I don't even know what to say about this, but this shit is crazy. Like, who the fuck, how is this nigga not in jail?
David's connection to Celeste. There are questions about what this relationship could have been. When did he see her last? Did he see her? And these questions have never gone away. Social media lit up with claims of a possible relationship between the two, right? Apparent matching tattoos, maybe private messages, a rumored unreleased song with her name in the title. TMZ had reported at one point in time that those around David believed that Celeste was 19 years old, and now we have this new development. This Six Flags trip, which we want to talk about.
He told somebody. He told somebody her real age. That nigga had friends. How old was he? Like 20, 22, 23? That man had friends. No, I think he's 20. 20 years old. He had friends. He told somebody. Ain't no fucking way.
But real quick, that Hollywood Hills home, which was near where the Tesla was found, that quickly became a centerpiece of this investigation. LAPD executed a search warrant. They collected electronics, maybe even searched drains, maybe photographed different rooms. But not everything was taken, and that is where private investigator Steve Fisher had entered the picture. Now, Fisher was hired by the property's owner, the landlord, who said he was frustrated by what he called a lack of information from law enforcement about what role that property, his property, may have played in all this. And again, to be clear, this was a property that was leased apparently to David's manager, and David had been staying there. And again, this property was near the Tesla. So what does he do? He brings in Steve Fisher to conduct his own review of what was left behind. And now, Steve, who we've had on this program before, says he found something strange. Something that could maybe reshape the timeline of this case. During his investigation, Steve Fisher says that he uncovered a Build-A-Bear certificate that was made out to a girl named Esmeralda, dated April 21st, 2020.
I'm not the only one that feel like they be just, you know what I'm saying? I mean, they telling us what we want to know, but they're not telling us what we want to know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I might just be tripping on that, but I for real think they are not telling us everything they want, like we want to know. Like, they just telling us shit. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they already got this shit figured out. Like, they know he fucking did it.
24. So that is just 16 days after Celeste was reported missing. And that date stood out because on that same day, April 21st, David had apparently posted a TikTok video riding a roller coaster that appeared to have been filmed at Six Flags Magic Mountain. There is a Build-A-Bear located inside Six Flags. So you put those facts together, right? A Build-A-Bear certificate for a child, a TikTok filmed at Six Flags, a then 13-year-old girl, because she was 13 at the time, who had been reported missing. Six Flags, they require guests under 15 to be accompanied by a chaperone aged 21 or older. So the questions now become, who was that chaperone? Who was Celeste with that day? If that person was David, what does that mean? Does it mean that the story of what happened to Celeste is maybe even more disturbing than anyone realized? We don't know. But we're going to be speaking to Steve Fisher in a minute to get some clarity on all this. And also a lot of misinformation he says is out there, and things that have been attributed to him that he says he didn't really say. So I want to get some clarity there. And we'll get into what the Six Flags development means and the timeline and any kind of other updates he may have. But to understand why this new Six Flags discovery matters so much, I just want to go back to where the case first broke wide open, okay? September 8th, 2025, a Tesla that had been sitting at a tow yard in Hollywood was inspected after workers noticed a foul smell. Inside the front trunk, officers found human remains that were apparently wrapped in plastic. That car was registered to David. The remains were identified as Celeste. Her body was apparently decomposed, and while the official cause of death is still deferred, police said they haven't ruled out foul play. However, based on comments from law enforcement, it's possible there may not even be a crime other than concealing the body. But since then, the investigation has focused a lot.
Hold on, bro. Concealing the crime itself is, concealing the crime itself is the fucking crime. Am I wrong? Like, I don't care. I don't fucking care if the nigga didn't know shit about it, bro. The nigga tried to hide it. He obviously has something to do with it. Arrest that nigga. Let me stop.
On that Hollywood Hills home where David had been living. And that is where private investigator Steve Fisher has spent months retracing every step. What was taken, what wasn't, what those overlooked details might reveal, who may have been driving that Tesla.
Would you be happy if you stayed where you are in life and job forever? If the answer is yes, then this video is not for you. But if you want to finally achieve the time...
Yeah, I don't got premium. I'm just letting y'all know that.
Remember that Steve has shared a lot during his investigation. He uncovered some deeply unsettling details. He explained that there could have been greater plans as far as getting rid of Celeste, describing the evidence as scary, sadistic stuff. Steve says he's been able to track the Tesla's movements, understand who had access to the property, recover photos, videos that help place people at the home at certain times. He's also been in contact with neighbors, reviewed digital media, gathered information that was handed directly to LAPD. All right, so now I want to bring on a special guest. I want to welcome back on to Sidebar Steve Fisher. Now, Steve is the private investigator who is hired by the owner of that property, the landlord, where David had been staying. And to be clear, it wasn't David on the lease, it was his manager, but we know that David had been staying there and that property was close to the Tesla. So, Steve, so good.
His manager being on the list, on the lease, it do kind of make you think, like, what if there was somebody in his entourage, you know what I'm saying? Somebody that he hang with personally drugged this chick. Because if it ain't like an entry wound or anything like that, I'm sure it was a fucking overdose, some shit like that. I don't know. Like, can y'all imagine how scared she was though? Like, let me put it this way, if she felt safe around him, if she entrusted a lot of, you know what I'm saying, her emotional baggage onto him, I bet her last moments, I'm not gonna lie to you, was scary as fuck. And it's simply because, well, I didn't think this would happen to me right here. But that goes to show, it don't matter where you think you're safe, it don't matter where you are, it don't matter who you are. You not, like nobody's immortal, nobody's safe, none of that. So, like, if this is a lesson for anybody, it's watch those close to you, because 9 times out of 10, they will be the ones to fuck you over. And they'll do it without a second thought. Niggas do not like to see other niggas succeed, which is a problem. But, you know what I'm saying? It's usually how it happens. Boyfriends, girlfriends, you know what I'm saying? Significant others, marriages, husband, wives, they all do the same fucking thing. It's just being human. That's why people, a lot of the times, and this is in my opinion, this is why I think a lot of people confuse hate with love, you know what I'm saying, most of the time, and the love they had ends up turning into hate because, well, you know what I'm saying, did you actually ever really like that person if you could hate them in the first place? Let me stop. I'm not even making sense, bro. I'm gonna keep that, yeah. First video, you know what I'm saying, I'm just rambling.
To see you again. Thanks so much for joining us. A lot's happened since the last time we talked. Let's talk about this. You have uncovered something regarding this apparent Six Flags trip. I mentioned it a little bit before, that you found this Build-A-Bear certificate in the name of Esmeralda that was dated, I believe, April 21st. So this is just about, 16 days after Celeste.
April 21st, 2024, just 16 days after Celeste was reported missing. Also, on April 21st, 2024, David posted a TikTok video on a roller coaster that appears to have been at Six Flags. There is a Build-A-Bear located at Six Flags. Oh, shit. That's what I read. My bad.
This was reported missing, that David had apparently posted a TikTok at a roller coaster on the same day. What is this? If I got anything wrong, please let me know, but what does this detail suggest to you?
No, so that's right. So, he posted that TikTok, and it can, match that up to where it's a roller coaster called Scream at Six Flags. And Six Flags has a Build-A-Bear, a shop there, and they have them at different theme parks. They have it in Knott's and whatnot, and I know some people are confused about that, but he was at Six Flags that day, and at the house, which is, I think, the important part that some people are losing sight of, is that we found the certificate at David's house, and it's in the name Esmeralda, and it's dated the same day, the 21st, that he was at Six Flags, and and then just a few days later, Celeste is photographed at Esmeralda's high school graduation, and this is all during the time that Celeste is reported as a missing person.
So does that give you a time of when she may have been alive?
Well, Yeah, so this is going back, a year, but this is right after she went missing. So we've all been under the impression that she's been gone, over a year. But there's these times that we're now finding out. Well, was she missing, or was this more? Was she a missing person? So the family or whoever would get in trouble for her not being in school, or there would be a CPS report, investigation opened right away. It appears that they knew where she was at, and she showed up at graduation. She's showing up now at the Six Flags along with a cousin, and then she shows up in September arguing with neighbors at her own home. So, and the family has the responsibility to report that to law enforcement. If you have an open missing persons case on a minor, you have any contact with them, you gotta report that.
I would say it's like having another producer in the room that knows exactly what you're saying. This is co-producer, the fastest way to find samples that fit your track.
And was this information that has just recently been discovered by you? Is this something that you believe the family or law enforcement knew beforehand?
I don't know if, so we discovered it maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I guess, not long after the search warrant took place, but I don't know if they really had reason. I don't know what the scope of that search warrant even was, so I don't know if it's something that they would have been looking for and after, they know that we know about it. I don't know if it's of any value to their investigation. I don't know if they're even investigating, or if they even care if people knew that Celeste really wasn't a missing person. I just think it's important for the overall story, to be told that, there were people that knew, and possibly people that could have intervened in the situation.
And to be clear, has this detail, giving you a better understanding of what the possible relationship is or was between David and Celeste? Does it give you a time frame of maybe when they had last spoke, or
They mean when the relationship was. The fuck? It took her to build it. You taking your best friend there? Are you taking your best friend there? Like, that's fucking crazy.
or last had contact, if that's at all what's going on?
Well, last spoke or contact, it doesn't really help with that. So far, the last that I have proof of is January 2nd. Now, that's what I have proof of. I don't know what LAPD has. I don't know what some of her friends might have text messages from her. But what I have is January 2nd. But I think what it does show is that there was a relationship. They were doing things, social things, and she was out of school. She was she had dropped out. She was, I think, 7th grade. This is, as far as I'm concerned, this is really serious stuff, and I think it's sad that it was allowed to continue, and that's, I don't know why it was allowed to continue, but it was, and I think people knew where she was at. And it also makes me think that as soon as the news came out that a body had been found in David's Tesla, I think that family probably knew exactly who it was right away.
Now, last time we spoke, you had mentioned that there were these items at this Hollywood Hills property that weren't seized in the search warrant. Since then, have you uncovered anything new that helps clarify the timeline, maybe what happened at the house? I mean, last time you were on with us, you talked about that you believe something sinister was being planned, the idea of maybe discarding her body. Is there anything else you can tell us about that?
I can't give details about what those items were, so yeah, because I just don't want to step on, LAPD's investigation.
I'm gonna tell you exactly what I think happened. I think somebody did plot to get rid of her body, because ain't no way she was dead around, dead or around your peoples that long, you know what I'm saying? And they don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody smells that foulness. Nobody no, ain't no fucking way. Somebody had to know about this shit. Somebody had to try to dispose of it, and maybe David, maybe he didn't know about it. Maybe he didn't know. I think he do know. That's just my opinion. I think he really did know, and fuck. Maybe he kingpinned it. Didn't want to get his hands dirty, so he got somebody else to do it for him.
as far as finding anything new, I spent the whole day at the house again yesterday. I don't know if there's going to be too much more there to gather. There are these small pieces, like the Build-A-Bear and stuff in photos from the graduation that we can put this timeline together. But that really just kind of proves this relationship, and it was a known relationship. As far as what happened and when, it appears to me that January, February is when there's something happens with the Tesla. It stops being used regularly. And so I think that's going to end up being the date, but I could be wrong. I don't have any proof of what happened to her, or her being placed in that Tesla or being taken out of that Tesla.
I was going to ask you, because in our last discussion, you talked about tracking the Tesla, who may have moved it. You believe that you have an indication about who may have moved it. Obviously, haven't identified the person, but...
So I'm not sure what exactly private investigators do. So I know they do some sort of police work or whatnot, but I'm not sure, are they legally allowed to work on cases that police are working on, and the police tell them, not to get in their way? Or is it something, you know what I'm saying, they do their own thing, the police do their own thing, they got their methods, the police got their methods? That's something I genuinely actually want to know.
Have you been able to pinpoint any more details about the car? Any new insights about it? How it fits into the picture?
No, not on that car, but we have learned that there was another one of his close entourage, a person that was actually on tour with him, that had actually, there was another car that was reported being left right by the house for 2 months, and they had actually called to have that one towed as well. And then the day before it was going to be towed, when they came out for the third time, 2 men came and picked up the car, and we've since found out that is somebody that was owned by somebody that was out on tour with David, and they just left it in front of that, across the street, on the same street, just parked on the other side of the road, kind of blocking someone's driveway for 2 months.
To be clear, the 2 people that moved that other car, was one of them the person that moved the Tesla?
No, so these are, I only know one of them, only ID'd one of them. These are not people that are regular, and they were the owner of the cars, I think a family member, a friend, or something like that. Not people that were around, and not David's, All
right, so listen up. State Farm was trying to charge me $197 for car insurance. No, thank you. I got a friend who told me about
people or anything like that.
Now, you've also been tracking the medical examiner timeline, the LAPD's timelines actively, very closely. Have there been any developments there that you can give a better sense of when we might maybe even see an official determination about the cause of death, the manner of death, anything like that?
I think it could be in the next week to 10 days, and that's because what I've been doing is tracking her she was discovered on September 8th. So I've been tracking the deaths for the months and weeks before that date, and the ones that were in deferred status. And those are usually the ones that are pending toxicology. And then I'm seeing that they're showing up as they're not deferred anymore, and they're showing acute fentanyl intoxication or whatever. So that shows
in other cases, yes.
Hold on, fentanyl intoxication? Oh, hell no. What the fuck? No, these niggas is on something crazy. That nigga was on something crazy. Fentanyl? You know how much of that you gotta do just to, you know what I'm saying? Let me not watch too much Euphoria. Even then, that's not a high I would enjoy. The fuck? These niggas really on some demonic shit. I'm not even joking.
So they've in other cases. So it shows that the toxicology has come back on those, and they're making determinations. And I've seen those as recent as September 3rd right now. So we could be, just days away from. Now that doesn't mean the autopsy report is done in total, but it does mean that on the website we could see a determination of cause and manner of death, which will then should free up LAPD to do what they're going to do.
Do you have any idea of what that could be based on what you're seeing? I mean, again, going back to our previous conversation, you had mentioned that there seemed to be plans in that house of potentially discarding Celeste's body. Is there anything that you could tell us, anything you can glean, obviously without compromising the investigation, about what happened to her?
I can tell you that we did find opiate prescription medication bottles in the house. Now, they could, whoever those were, they could be taking them 100% legitimately. So just because you have pain medication, but there was a few bottles of it in the house, and my gut tells me, I have no inside information on this at all, but my gut.
I think this could be, and I hope I don't get, you know what I'm saying, demonetized for saying this. It's the first time, you know what I'm saying, recording a video like this. I don't think this could be like an accidental, suicide, dude. Like an accidental S word. We're gonna call suicide the S word for now, but y'all don't think that could be you know what I'm saying? She could have accidentally suicided. They probably, I don't know. I'm coming up with all these different theories in my head. Shit, I might just keep track of this.
Tells me the way things are lining up right now. I'm feeling this is probably going to be something like an accidental overdose, and they just made a horrible decision after the fact because they didn't want the relationship to be, to get out there because it would definitely hurt his, career, if not him be criminally charged. And I think they just made a really, really bad decision. I think that the medical examiner would have been able to tell pretty quickly if, it was strangulation or anything like that, because you would still see the bone, the hybrid bone broken, or you see blood vessels broken in the eyes, stuff like that. Or if it was a gunshot, that's pretty obvious. So since they couldn't determine that, I think it's coming down to toxicology. So
because one of the last times we talked, or something been part of the conversation, is that law enforcement, as far as we can see, they haven't come out and said that there was a crime that was committed other than disposing of the body, unless something's changed, unless something different. That's all that they say right now. I mean, they say it's possible that it could be something else, but it's also possible that, like you said, she died under circumstances where no one may not necessarily be held criminally liable, might not be a murder, but someone may be charged for disposing of the body.
Yeah, I mean, they said there's that words where might not be criminal culpability beyond concealment of a body.
Right.
And that could be the truth. I think LAPD right now has a preliminary indication from the medical examiner's office. I'm sure that the toxicology results are back. I think that determination is still being made of what the cause and manner is, but I think LAPD knows, and we haven't really seen any, nobody's been seen coming in and out of LAPD headquarters or anything being, maybe being questioned, or, we haven't seen any statements of maybe attorneys getting ahead of what might be coming.
Real quick, if you've made it this far into the video, trust me, I'll start doing like some fancy shit like that once I learn it a little more. Show some love, like, comment, subscribe. If you like videos like this, you know what I'm saying, I'll start posting more. I'm gonna start posting more anyway, I'm not gonna lie to you. But yeah, show a nigga some love. Alright, back to it.
So I don't know. I think it's gonna be minimal.
I want to talk about some of the posts that you've shared publicly about the case and get your thoughts on it, because you've been very candid on social media, highlight some of the aspects that the public hasn't seen yet. You made a post earlier today, got a lot of attention, and that thread pushes back hard against a lot of what you say is community-driven misinformation in this case, because in it, you say that Reddit threads that were useful early on have now become, quote, overrun by people misreading your work and claiming that you said that Celeste was never at that house. You make a distinction there that I want you to state clearly on the record, right? Because first, can you explain what you did say about whether Celeste lived at that house versus whether she was ever at the house at any point?
Yeah, so what I said is we don't have any proof, meaning I've been pretty open that we found a lot of media, a couple thousand images, right? And in those, with Celeste in them, they're not at the house. So we don't have anything tying her to the house. Do I think she's at the house? 100%. I'm certain she's been in the house. I just don't have any evidence to say, here's the proof. A lot of people are...
So what makes you say that? I guess what makes you say that she was at that house at some point?
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Well, I said I'm certain she was at that house at some time, just because of the relationship they had. But I don't have any proof that she's ever at the house. I don't have any pictures. Now, people are pointing to a different house on Doheny that was like a streaming house that her and David were. They did a stream from there, and there were several photos taken, and myself and LAPD and everybody's known about that house since the very beginning. And I think they're thinking that he kept that as like a safe house for her, and that I know is not the case. But we don't have anything to indicate she was living there. We do have indication that there were other females that were living in the house, maybe not full time, but regularly. I mean, they had nightstands with their stuff in it and whatnot, but it didn't belong to Celeste.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you made that distinction, and also because you also called out a lot of people on Reddit for jumping to conclusions, and that the public noise can affect an investigation like this. How has it? I mean, how has this, in your mind, the spread of what you see as misinformation impacted your work, your ability to understand what happened, collect evidence, maybe the LAPD's handling of the investigation?
I think in the beginning, if they were a huge help, I think there's a lot of stuff that LAPD would have never known about, especially in the discourse or if it wasn't for it. I think what my frustration is that, listen, in every case I go to, I have this core group of people that just will take the exact opposite narrative of me. They're coming at me, and that just kind of muddies the water because they're very loud and they'll just say things that are just absolutely 100% false. They'll state them as fact, and that becomes distracting because there are a certain amount of people that first thing they read, they believe. I mean, there's this whole thing going on now about this Knott's Berry Farm, and nobody seems to understand that the point is not whether they were at Knott's or Six Flags. They were.
All right, my ADHD kicking in. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Was talking a little too much. I honestly am at a loss of words for this case. I definitely hope he didn't do anything, you know what I'm saying, to hurt her. I really hope nobody had nothing to do with this, you know what I'm saying, because that would be, it's detrimental, not just for, you know what I'm saying, for him, but for everybody around him, you know what I'm saying. I hope her family gets some sort of answer, some sort of resolution. I pray that she's resting, and you know what I'm saying. This has been Jay.
Works, oh,
shit. Fuck.
It's that the certificate ended up in.
You know what I'm saying? Help me beat the algorithm. I really need that. I just started this shit. 387, Infamous Kid J.